Welcome back to the Gospel of Rock. Tonight we are going to talk about David Bowie's Changes from 1971. Wow, it's over 50 years old. It's such a it's a song that Generation Xers like myself grew up with. I was born in 70, and from the moment I heard the song, it was brilliant. But when it came out, it hardly made a splash at all. It only later did. It was on the B-side of Space Oddity. Before we get into the song, I don't want to thank my sponsor. I just want to go back to the end of that Bob Dylan song, because we never got to it in that session where we were talking about the Gates of Eden, the Bob Dylan song Gates of Eden. And we didn't get to the last verse, which might be the most telling verse of all. I believe it's the 9th verse. How many verses are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Not that it matters, but 9 is one more than 8. And there might be something to that. Who knows? At dawn, my lover comes to me and tells me of her dreams, with no attempt to shovel the glimpse into the ditch of what each one means. At times I think there are no words but these to tell what's true, and there are no truths outside the gates of Eden. By the way, one of Bowie's early songs was a song to Bob Dylan, which would be an interesting one to cover as well. We were just talking about Bob Dylan and also Paul Simon, and we did The Boxer, and Dylan did The Boxer. It sounds like he's singing with Paul Simon on his album Self-Portrait, which is around the same time that this Bowie song came out, like 1970 or 71. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. That last verse, there are no words but these to tell what's true. And there are no truths outside the gates of Eden. It's a great way to end the song. Because if there are no truths outside the gates of Eden, there are no words either. No more words. No more interpretation. His lover comes to tell me of her dreams, and doesn't try to interpret them. Anyway, there's a lot to that. Let's go on though. Let's play this for a second. Let's play the very beginning of the David Bowie song. Less than 8 seconds if we can do it. Listen to this. Listen carefully to this. If it comes on, let's see. And I'm playing this. Come on. It's not playing. Shit. Why is it not playing? Oh, wait. I probably have to get the sound on here. All right, doesn't matter. If you look at the, most people think that David Bowie is saying, "Oh yeah," at the beginning of the song with the piano when it kicks in. By the way, Bowie plays saxophone on the song, the saxophone is really cool on the song. They think he's saying, "Oh yeah," but it really sounds like he's saying, "Look out." I always thought he said, "Look out," which would make sense because the lyric, he says later in the song, he says, "Look out, you rock and rollers." we're going to talk about. Okay, first verse. Still don't know what I was waiting for, and my time was running wild. A million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse. Oh, how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. So the first verse is generally understood to be Bowie talking about his career up to that point and how he had failed to achieve stardom. He was going to get famous very soon after that with Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. But he still was relatively unknown. The song is called Changes, and people see this as prescient talking. You know, he was going to be like Dylan. He was going to keep changing, and he never, you know, he's talking about never making it. He turned himself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse of himself. No, it seems like he's saying, I never caught a glimpse of how others must see the faker, which is the name for himself. I'm much too fast to take that test. It's a little mysterious. But he's suggesting that he does know himself. And he does know who he is, and he knows where he's going. Turn and face the strange. Don't want to be a richer man. Okay, so he seems to be declaring that this is the chorus now. Changes. Why does he do the cha? People compare it to My Generation by The Who. There have been a number of stuttering songs that became famous, like Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by the Guess, was it the Guess Who? Well, The Who and the Guess Who, right? Bachman Turner Overdrive. So the changes. There was also the Aretha Franklin song, which I think was early. Change. That one. I forget the name of that one. But anyway, change. Don't want to be a richer man. Turn and face the strange. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. He's gonna have to change. I'm not sure exactly what he means, but I can't trace time. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Maybe someone out there can give a suggestion. But I think what he's saying is that, especially with the second verse, let's read the second verse. I watch the ripples change their size, but never leave the stream of warm impermanence. This is almost Buddhist, right? Now, I think what he's saying with all the changes, nothing really changes. You know, the ripples change. You know, you drop something in the water, and you got all these ripples, and there's, you know, variations and so on. But they're all it's all still there. You know, changes don't. You know, all the differences don't make a difference. And so the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on, so now he changes it slightly to talk about kids and the younger generation. which is a theme that he picks up again in other songs like Oh You Pretty Things, and probably other songs that I'm not aware of. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds. By the way, that was something that many artists were talking about back then. You know, the new generation, and how the new generation was different, and the generation gap, and the whole idea of the generation gap. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds. Now, the children are probably the ones that are listening to this song, you know, not the adults. So who is he talking to? Well, you know, he's also talking to the kids of that generation that grew up, right? And now here we are 50 years later, and if you're still listening, say you were 18 or 16, now you're 66 or 70, probably still listening to David Bowie, and maybe there's a generation gap that you have now with your kids. And the kids aren't listening to David Bowie, probably. They might be listening to Queen. I don't know how many kids are listening to David Bowie, except maybe this song. You know, this song is a classic, and this song is like, will be played for a long time. And this is like David Bowie at his greatest. That's why it's amazing that this song did not take off when it first came out. You know, it's like, didn't people realize the brilliance of it? It gives me hope for myself. Hopefully it gives you starving artists out there some hope too. Unrecognized artists. I'm gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but you can't trace time. Strange fascination fascinating me. I never really got what he was saying there, you know. Changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Again, it's a little mysterious. He's got a fascination with the strange, and he's willing to be strange. He's willing to be different. He's willing to go outside of the mainstream, to be a little bit more real. Shit, I lost the song. Hold on. Here we go. Oh man, damn it. Okay, let's see if I have the song over here. Shit. Changes. Do we have it? Because my computer just died. Sorry. Give me a second. All right. Doesn't matter. Now, at the end of the song, there's a great sax solo, but he also says, "Look out, you rock and rollers." Now, remember one of our themes here in the Gospel of Rock is the death of rock, the death and the resurrection of rock. Look out, you rock and rollers. Now, he probably means that on several different levels, but one is, you know, the idea that rock music is maybe might not be around forever, and you know, times are changing. They are gonna change, and you got to roll with the changes. And David Bowie was saying, you know, and that's why I think he says "look out" at the beginning. He doesn't say "oh yeah," he says "look out." And he said you gotta change with the times if you wanna be relevant. Now, but that doesn't. I think he still wants to be real. You know, I think it's a difficult thing, you know, because if you're looking to be a star and to be famous, to a certain degree, you have to play the game, right? And I think he realized that. And there was, apparently he wanted to quit being a rock star a number of times. You know, he declared his resignation a number of times because you know, he could only do it. I'm sure it was grueling, but also the expectations of him. But he never wanted to step in the same river twice, and he was willing, like I said, to be different and do rock and roll, but his own way. And he was one of the most brilliant, you know. He said a lot for rock and roll. Let's put it this way: that he chose to do rock and roll. It helped the genre quite a bit, and he did some really cool stuff with the music, and was part of the vanguard of you know, experimental music that changed the face of things as we know it. And so when he's talking about the kids, and he says they're quite aware of what they're going through, he's talking about himself as well. He's quite aware of himself, and he knew what he was doing, and he never lost himself. At least I think, you know, that's what I would like to think. I don't think he did. I think he was you know, he was willing to put on different masks as the as you know, was needed for his career. But I think you know, there was a genius and a method to the madness, and he was aware. He was self-aware enough to not get lost. That's all I have to really say, I guess. Oh, one other thing I want to say is I want to talk about Phil Oakes just for a moment, and maybe I'll do a whole thing about Phil Oakes at some point. Phil Oakes was also the Greenwich Village folk scene with Bob Dylan starting in the early days. He also wrote a great song called Changes. Phil Oakes wrote a great song called Changes. It was one of his best songs. Maybe we'll do that song. We'll do Changes by Phil Oakes. Phil Oakes was one of my greatest influences early on. I'll talk about that in one of the next. Anyway, that's it for tonight. We might come back to Bowie another time, but we're gonna keep going and keep talking about this theme that we have of the gospel of rock. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.